Raven fans, Oriole fans, thank you for joining us this week on the Ravery Sports Podcast, the Baltimore Sports Podcast, as we say it every week, for fans like me. I don't think I say it every week, but we want to say it every week because that's our slogan, fans like me. So definitely like and subscribe to this video. If this content is important to you, go ahead and like and subscribe to all of our videos on YouTube, Twitch, LinkedIn, Instagram, Facebook, Twitter. Go ahead and like and subscribe. If you're watching this on our YouTube channel, our Facebook channel, our Twitch channel, or our Twitter page. So thank you very much for joining us here. Definitely our Ravery Sports Tour is coming to you. Right there at the bottom of the screen, all August month, every Saturday, will be in the Frederick area, Harpers Ferry, Hagerstown area, Boonesboro, Baltimore County, Anne Arundel County, Baltimore City. You can check us out. Winchester, Virginia, Front Royal, Virginia, White Post, Stevens City. Definitely all those will be out here selling our products. You can meet me personally. All right. If you just want to just come and just talk a little football or talk a little baseball, talk a little Maryland football or anything like that, definitely just check us out. Thank you very much for doing that as well. So let's go ahead and take a look here at this. So let's get down to business, fantasy football business. Now, this is just full disclosure. We're not promoting gambling here. This is for entertainment purposes only. Okay, we're just telling you how I would play it, fantasy football, if you are a fantasy football player. Fantasy football also helps, I think, a lot of fans as well play the game of football, watch the game of football. I think it's also good for your viewing experience. It's good for your knowledge of the game as well, because you get to go ahead and look at other teams, how they're doing, how stats are. Hey, man, this guy's having a great day. He's getting a lot of points, etc. So it also, I think, helps your viewing experience as a fan. I think that is going to help you a lot looking at it as well, watching as a fan. Now, this is what I would do with Ravens players as a fantasy football person, as a fantasy football player. Like I said, I played several leagues. How I do it, my leagues are definitely 10-team to 12-team. Usually, most of the time, I play a 10-team standard league, head-to-head playing. Okay, some people might play most points in the league. Some people might have draft every week. Some of you DraftKings people, FanDuel play. You draft every week. But these are the Ravens players that you do want, where you do want them in the draft, how they should shake up as far as points, as far as your league. So that's what I would do. So I'm predicting rounds that they would probably go in a standard league. Now, again, you're drafting every week, it may be different. Also, too, and I'm going to say this here at the beginning as well, you also, too, want to watch. This is pre-training camp. Training camp might factor into some of these, okay, so as well. So sometimes position battles, etc., we'll see how these guys do when the season starts. Lamar Jackson, obviously. I have him second or third round in a more of a standard league. If you take Lamar in the first round in the top 10, I got no really problem with that, especially if you're picking like 9 or 10 or 8. I got no problem if you pick Lamar. I think probably right second or third. I think of the quarterbacks of the league, and I'm not just saying this because I'm a Ravens fan, you take him and you take Mahomes. Why would you take him? The rush yards. You're going to get 800 rush yards. He's supposed to be cutting back. But let's even leave it there, like 700-800. You may not get 1,200 or 13, 10 or 1,000. But let's even make it 700-800. You get 3 touchdowns. That's like having another running back on your team if you have Lamar. So that's not a bad thing to get 3,000 yards passing and get like 700-800 yards rushing with Lamar. So I'm fine if you take Lamar in the top 10. Most likely you'll be able to get him in the second or the third. That's about where the right place to draft him is. If you try and get him in the fourth, he's going to be gone. I think that's going to be too late to get Lamar. So about second or third round is where you want to take Lamar. J.K. Dobbins. Fifth or sixth round running backs in the NFL have been devalued, not in fantasy. Fantasy is running backs are drafted early. So if you're drafting in running backs, early is going to be gone. Christian McCaffrey is going to be gone. A lot of Derrick Henry might be gone. A lot of the elite running backs, they might be gone. So you look at a guy like J.K., that's a guy you can get value in like later. That's okay. So you get elite guys. So what's going to happen is you get elite running backs to be gone. Then your top receivers to be gone, like Justin Jefferson, Chase, they'll be gone. Kelsey, etc., be gone. And then you're in round 5. Okay, well, all right. Well, J.K.'s still there. You might get 1,100 yards from a guy in the 5th or 6th round. So it's good value, I think, with J.K. Gus Edwards, I think you're going to get good value out of him. I think later as well, I think you're going to get good value out of J.K. Dobbins. I'm sorry, J.K. Gus Edwards. Gus, I think 10th or 11th round. If you've been drafting and for whatever reason, draft, you get a lot of tight ends early or you get a lot of quarter, you're still looking for a running back. I think Gus is a pretty good one to get that late. I think that's good. I think also to short yardage, things like that. Maybe sometimes a guy, I remember years ago, like Jerome Bettis, wasn't even starting, but they used him at the goal line a lot. I think you could see that a lot with Gus Edwards or something like that. So might be a good value very late. Beckham, 3rd or 4th round for your receiver. I think, especially if you're picking like late, because the draft sometimes like swirls around. You're picking like, if you're picking 1, that means you're picking last in the next round. So you're like at 20. So you're picking 19 or 20 or something like that. With Beckham, 3rd or 4th round is about right. I'm going to say probably you're going to see a lot of fantasy football stuff, and they're going to have them later than that. I think 3rd or 4th is okay. He's going to be your number 1 receiver. Had he stays healthy, it's a bit of a gamble, but if he stays healthy, I like Odell pretty early. He's going to get you yards. He's going to be your number 1 guy. He's going to get a lot of catches. Definitely worth it. Definitely, I think, worth it in a 4th round. Definitely 5th, just to be there. I don't think he's going to be there any later than that, though. I think somebody's going to take him if you're trying to get in the 6th round, if you like Odell. So I think 3rd or 4th round is about right. Zay Flowers, 7th or 8th. Got to see how he does in camp. I think if he's starting, I think it's a good place to take him. Keeper leagues, definitely. In the leagues where, okay, you have the same guys and you need to take a rookie, this is definitely a rookie I got my eye on here, Zay Flowers. Definitely going forward, he could be the number 1 receiver for the Ravens and Lamar for several years. So definitely he's a guy I would look at in a keeper league. Zay Flowers, I think, is pretty good. I think he's a vet. I think he's going to be really good. The only question is, and we'll go to the next page here, Rashad Bateman. Can he beat out Rashad Bateman? Bateman, I think, is higher than Flowers, I think, on the upside. I really would like to see a lot of you see how the training camp battle plays out. I'm not sure he's going to win it, but if he does, I think he's a higher pick. 6th or 7th is probably right for him, Rashad Bateman, because he's a veteran guy at this point. He's going to get a lot of catches. He's a good receiver. I think the only problem with Bateman is can he stay healthy enough to help you for a whole season? But I got no problem with taking a Rashad Bateman in the 6th or 7th round as far as receiver. Probably in a lot of drafts, you'll see him a little bit later than that. But 6th or 7th round, if you want to go ahead and do it, I got no problem with that, taking Rashad Bateman if it's 6th or 7th, especially if a lot of receivers are already gone, which they probably will be by then. You take a Rashad Bateman. Nelson Aguilar, very late, 12th or 13th round, very late. I'd only take him if, you needed one. I think he might be worth taking, though, if you need one. That's like this. Okay, so I'm trying to – I already got 4 receivers and him, then I want to take another one. I'd take a Nelson Aguilar. Might be worth it. Also, too, you might be able to sneak him if he can actually somehow beat out Bateman and Flowers in training camp. Keep that in mind. That's an advantage you'll have as a Ravens fan to go ahead and take care of that if he can go ahead and beat him out. So definitely take that in mind. Again, Might be worth taking a chance on very late, though. Otherwise, 12th or 13th, that's about, very, very late. Or he might be a guy you want to look at, what I think is a very important thing, after the draft. So you've had the draft, now you're looking at a Nelson Aguilar, something like that. Very important, too, that part. Once you've drafted, one of the first things I do is I look at guys who's still available, who didn't get drafted. One of the things I do is I look at that right away when I'm doing a fantasy draft, after a fantasy draft. So keep that in mind. Andrews, second or third round. I would take him in a first, but second is good. I like him right next to Kelsey. I think I like him better than Kittle. Interesting to see if he loses any catches, though. That would be interesting to see if Andrews loses any catches because of the receiving. They're trying to upgrade a receiver. So we'll see how that goes. Isaiah Likely, keep your eye on. Late round, about 10th or 11th, Isaiah Likely. Sometimes it's a good idea to take two tight ends from the same team, especially a team like the Ravens. I think Isaiah Likely might be also a keeper league guy. Keep that in mind. Like if you keep a lot of the same players and you're looking at a tight end for the future, might be a guy you want to take a look at, Isaiah Likely. 10th or 11th round. Otherwise, I don't think he's going to get more catches than Andrews. I don't think he's going to get more catches than a lot of these receivers. I think he's got to find a way to get on the field with Andrews and be productive. But I think there's real talent there. I don't have a big problem with anybody taking Isaiah Likely late. All right, now this is always the argument that we have. There's always somebody, whenever I'm drafting and we talk about this, and they're talking trash or whatever it is, Justin Tucker, right? There's always somebody say, well, you should only take a kicker in the last round. That's generally right. I don't think that's always right. I think that's true except for Justin Tucker. If you want Justin Tucker, I think you got to go in the 6th or 7th round and get him. I really do. I really think this is the exception to the rule because we know he's going to be productive. I mean, this is the greatest kicker, I think, maybe of all time. So he's going to be productive. So I don't think there's any question if it's going to be productive. It is going to be productive. So there isn't any question about that as far as Justin Tucker goes. Otherwise, I can say if you're not taking Tucker, then I would absolutely just wait, in my opinion. I think it's absolutely just worth waiting. I don't see any reason not to. There's really nobody else in there. Harrison Butker or Dick Carlson or anything like that. I would just kind of wait. Ravens defense I've seen in the top 5. So if the defense is in the top 5, that's about 8th round, 9th round, maybe as high as 7. I don't know about that one. I don't think we're the top 5 defense in the NFL. I don't like us better than Philly. I don't like us better than San Fran. I wouldn't have us that high. Top 10 probably, but not top 5. 10th round late is about right for the Ravens defense. If you do that, I think if you're top 5, that's about right. Some people kind of have the same philosophy with the defense as you do the kicker. Okay, you take the defense next to last. And I don't think you always have to do that to win. But about 10th or 11th round, you shouldn't be going any earlier than that as far as that goes, as far as the Ravens defense. So there you go. All right. So again, this is just something that we're doing here as far as just, entertaining. It is fantasy, I would say, also helps, again, one more time, the viewing experience. As a viewer, watching fantasy football, watching the teams, it helps you get the stats of the players. It helps you look at the players. It helps you see who's doing well. I love fantasy football in that form of seeing it, seeing guys on your team and seeing how well guys are doing stat-wise in the league. And it can be fun to go ahead and get a good fantasy team. I've won a lot of fantasy leagues, and I have lost a lot of fantasy leagues. In more recent years, I haven't done quite as well, but I won a lot of fantasy games. I won a lot of more years past that. I think I've won in more recent years, but it's a cool thing to do. Talk about fantasy football and getting that taken care of. So let's do some more football. So we're going to go away from the fantasy and we're going to go into who are the top 10 running backs in the NFL. So last week we did quarterbacks who are the top 10. We're going to do a top 10 list here. Again, who are the top 10 runners in the league? So devalued, I think, is in the league as a whole. In terms of fantasy, it was high. But let's take a look at some of these running backs here. Hate to have any Steeler on the list, of course, because this is Ravor Sport. We don't like the squealers at all. But we got to say Najee Harris. I think he's an excellent running back at Alabama. I think he's been good in the pros. I kind of heard more negative on him last year. The Steelers line is so bad. It's kind of hard for a running back to succeed better than what he did. I can't imagine that another back is going to succeed as well as he did. Najee Harris, I think, is the guy at 10. I think you're going to get like 1,100 yards out of him. I think if the line could get any better, I think he'd do better. Travis Etienne, I think, was very good as well. Enormously quick. They had a guy here, James Robinson, last year. They kind of work him in. He missed a whole year last year, played with Trevor Lawrence in college, and it was halfway through the year they got rid of the other guy. That's how good Travis Etienne was. Very fast, very good season for him. I think definitely this guy's got a lot of potential. I see a lot of Clinton Portis, that breakaway type speed with him, with the Travis Etienne. Josh Jacobs. Some of y'all might be saying, well, seems a little low for a guy that has done so well last season. He had like 1,600 yards. I think he was like tops in the league. I think that was a bit of an aberration. The year before, in a couple years, his stats were actually going down. And last year he was really good. And he's good. I think he's pretty good, but I think good is pretty good is about it. Top 10, 8 of 10, about right. I don't think you're going to see years like he just had with him. I don't think he has that type of speed breakaway all the time. I think he's a good, solid running back, kind of like a Curtis Martin type, good, solid guy. Going past 7, Miles Sanders. Miles Sanders going from Philly, now in Carolina. I like it because also, too, he's going to be a huge part of their offense. They're going to be playing Bryce Young. They're going to be playing a rookie quarterback. So he's going to be a big focal point for them as well. He's going to get a lot of carries. So definitely he's a guy that they're going to rely on. So definitely he's going to get his opportunity there in Carolina as their running back. Dalvin Cook, TBA, doesn't have a team yet. Rumor is it's Miami. That's pretty done. They're just waiting for camp, etc., to go ahead and get that taken care of. So Miami, it's probably wherever he goes, they're getting an excellent back. This guy runs people over. See a lot of Adrian Peterson in him. Funny enough, he was in Minnesota. Runs people. I don't know why the fight. Again, teams don't know what to do with backs nowadays. This guy runs people over. Had a huge year. I like Dalvin Cook. I definitely would have kept him if I'm Minnesota. Here is your version now of Marshall Faulk. Not as good as Faulk, but the runner / catcher. Take the ball out of the backfield, get the yardage. He kind of fits into like a team that passes a lot with a really good quarterback because he doesn't need a ton of touches. You know, he could go ahead and fit in and get you big plays. He pops a lot with the touches that he gets. Austin Eckler got a big play. Saquon, there's no reason why he shouldn't be in number one except for the injuries. Saquon is outstanding athlete. Saquon is one of the better athletes, I think, at the running back position. And I think he's probably the most indispensable on this list. The Giants, without him, are a totally different team. I think Saquon is definitely, again, though, a lot of these guys, Eckler, Cook, fighting for contracts, devaluing the position. A good player like Saquon, number 4. Christian McCaffrey, how much better did the Niners look once he got there? Again, keeping him healthy. Again, kind of like Eckler, don't need a lot of touches, even though he gets them. Catch the ball out of the backfield, runs well out of the backfield, running and catching, outstanding dual threat, definitely an outstanding runner. Keeping him healthy is the only thing that's going to stop him. The only thing that would not keeping him healthy, rather, would be the only thing to stop him from not getting like 1,900 yards. Nick Chubb might be one of the most underrated players in all football. Nick Chubb, easily 1,200 yards. I think he's got 5 or 6 straight years, 1,200 yards rushing. Even with another good back there they had for several years, Kareem Hunt, outplayed him and did very well. So Nick Chubb, definitely one of the best runners in the NFL. They're not number 1. Derrick Henry, the beast from Tennessee. Derrick Henry runs people over, period. Derrick Henry runs people over. You're not going to take a linebacker 235 pounds and tackle him. Not going to happen. You better get 2-3 guys, even like on a team with Tennessee where they don't have great receivers. You know they're going to run the ball and they still can't stop. That's the sign of a great player in anything. You try and you know it's coming. You try and take him out and you can't. So I like Derrick Henry first, number 1 running back in the NFL. So there you have it. Top 10 running backs in the NFL. No Ravens. I couldn't put JK on the list. I think part of it is hasn't produced enough. Some of it I think is the way the Ravens play. Not enough bell cow that's going to be in backs. He's going to be part of a tandem. I think I've said this every time. That's kind of the way John Harbaugh likes it. Kind of likes the tandem, kind of likes teams, kind of likes to share carries. So JK, I think, and Gus aren't on the list, but those were the top 10 in the NFL. All right. So let's go ahead, and I absolutely want to talk about this. I actually have to talk about this because this is, I think, important in terms of the fan, in terms of sports media, the state of sports media. I think there's layoffs, obviously, here. I think a lot of the fans here are going to miss a lot of these personalities, but I think the state of sports media, I think, is an interesting topic here. And I think that's something that we definitely want to discuss. I'm not sure I have all the names, but this is the biggest layoff of on-air talent in the history of ESPN. No question. They had a layoff company. That wasn't this. These were their top shelf guys in a lot of cases. Jeff Van Gundy, Jalen Rose, Keyshawn Johnson, Max Kellerman, Susie Colbert, Chris Chelios, Matt Hasselbeck, Steve Young, Rob Ninkovich, Neil Everett, Ashley Brewer. That's one page. June Lee, LaFonso Ellis, Todd McShay, Jordan Cornette, Jason Fitz, David Pollock. That's it. Jay Williams is not there. He's out too. I think his contract was up, so I don't know if he was laid off. I don't know if they had to lay him off, but the show was canceled. The morning show was canceled. So that is it there as far as those guys are gone. So those guys are no longer going to be ESPN personalities. Van Gundy, that was their number 1 NBA announcer. That was a surprise. Jalen Rose has been there. I didn't realize Jalen Rose had been there 20 years. Keyshawn, Max, and that was the whole morning show. So they shed a lot of salaries there for that. So I understand that goes. So that is American business in a lot of ways. A lot of layoffs, a lot of guys gone, a lot of guys no longer there with the network. That is unfortunate. I know a lot of people say, well, they're wealthy guys. You lose a job. I don't care who you are. That changes your life. There are other people involved. And also, to the names that we didn't see that have lost their jobs. Those are the on-air talents, and they have money and contracts and things like that. There's a lot of guys that aren't the names that are not there. The producers, camera people, things like that. They have middle-class jobs, and they got fired too. So I feel worse for them because they're just as out of work as these guys. I want to talk about, though, also, there were layoffs here. I want to talk about this person. I have to. Malika Andrews. I'm going to talk about Malika Andrews because everywhere I went, I mean, I saw it in Black YouTube. I saw it in all forums that apparently everybody hates Malika Andrews, right? Nobody likes Malika Andrews. I mean, on both sides. I saw the left doesn't like, well, she's too much of a feminist. The right doesn't like her. She's too like, oh my goodness. It's a lot here. And people kept saying, well, why did they keep her and fire all these other people since she's so popular? Let me tell you something. I'm gonna play a clip from Stephen A. Smith, fair use, hopefully. But I want to go over a couple of things here. I went to the YouTube page for Malika Andrews, okay, and Jalen Rose, and this is why. Okay, now again, this is my opinion, but I don't know. Obviously, I don't have the inner workings of ESN, but I can tell you why. Okay, so you go to Malika Andrews' Instagram, and she's got 360,000 followers. You go to her YouTube page, she's got 350,000, almost 350,000 followers. Jalen Rose, his YouTube page is like about 86,000 followers. YouTube page, a little less than Malika, like 350,000. He was reported $3 million. Malika, it's not nearly that high because she's like only 28. I don't know what it is exactly. My guess is it's less than $1 million, right? Probably 500 or 600K, something like that. That is why Malika is there and Jalen's not. And here's the other thing that's happening, okay? All this hate that she's getting, this doesn't do anything but drive the clicks, drive the views, being infamous is kind of a slippery slope when you're unpopular. You can ask Stephen A. Smith or Skip Bayless that. But that's all these people, that's all you guys are doing, right? You're making it easier for her to stay because all you do, I mean, I saw video after video after video after video. And I really haven't even watched that. Probably part of the problem that they're having is I don't really even watch a lot of those shows. I've never watched The Jump or I've never even watched, I've only seen her fill in for Greeny, on the NBA when I'm watching an NBA game. So I don't, but that's the reason. And we're going to go, and I'm going to go to Stephen A. Smith here, and we're going to go over that and see why he's going to go ahead and talk about this. His podcast, I thought yesterday was fantastic. Yesterday, as I'm recording this, was fantastic about what happened in terms of business in general here.
Emotional. Folks lamented how folks are being laid off, but Pat McAfee arrived at ESPN. Pat McAfee wasn't hired by ESPN. Pat McAfee was acquired by ESPN via the Pat McAfee show. He had a product that he built through his grit, his hard work, his determination, his focus, his brilliance, and he turned it in to a $120 million deal that was once given to him by FanDuel.
Y'all got that?
ESPN acquired that business. He's not an employee. He's a product. that was acquired. I would know because I'm an employee who's trying to become a product. That is the world that we're living in. Y'all listen to who y'all want to. I want to listen to Jay-Z. I'm not a businessman. I'm a businessman.
There it is. He hit it right on the head. That's exactly right. I'm a businessman, just like Jay said. Listen, this is the world we're living in right now. You have to produce. Now, us, like in YouTube, we know, like, if nobody watches, you don't get paid. Every video you do, every click you get, every like, every dislike, whatever. That's how that works. In that sense, in television, old media, radio, it was kind of ambiguous. Sometimes it was obvious by the ad dollars. You could tell how many people were watching. But that is what's going on in terms of that. That's how Malika Andrews stays and a Jalen Rose goes. They look at the stats. They look at all those things. And people can say whatever you want. I mean, you can, but that's what they're looking at. That's what they're looking at. One other thing, and I wanted to go over, state of sports media in general, because I think that's important. I think as a viewer, a lot of it will remain the same in some areas. I think you're going to have streaming services eventually. We're about a few years away. I mean, they haven't pulled the trigger yet, but streaming services are going to own a lot of the MLB. You know, I think it's only a matter of time before Netflix or something holds the NFL rights, or Apple or something like that. They buy Fox One or FS1 or something. I think it's only a matter of time before you see it. So as a viewer, it's going to all switch to streaming sooner or later. I think networks are going to switch to streaming sooner or later. I think the business model is going to change, has changed. And I think personalities that are on air, you're going to have to show numbers. Just like you do in social media, just like you do. That's how that's going to work. And that's exactly what happened. As much as you like Jalen Rose, Keyshawn Johnson, Kellerman, things like that, they don't keep people around anymore. And that's not just in sports media. I think it's in all of business. Things like that. Other thing I want to debunk with ESPN, miss me with they're losing so much money. They got 50 million cable subscribers still. Even losing that, they still have 50 million cable subscribers just in this country. They also have, they used to have 100 million, I know that, but they still have they charge, every time you pay your cable bill, you pay for 2 sports channels mostly. You get the highest rate. Your ESPN and Masson in this local area, wherever you're watching it, it's Bally Sports or whatever it is, whatever. Those are the ones that are getting the most rates. So the notion that that ESPN is losing, so that's missed me with that. A lot of the local ones, yes, that's correct. But with ESPN, trust me when I tell you, they're not losing so much money. They're not making as much as they were. But it's the things are changing. All right, in sports media, the way it used to be, the way it was, it's going to be different now. So if you want to be a sports fan, you're going to have to stream. The Suns are going to be doing direct to consumer. You may have to pay directly for Orioles games sooner rather than later. If the massive thing ever gets resolved, that's going to change. So that's the bigger picture I want to state, the state of sports media, why these things are actually happening. They're moving to a different business model in that, especially even, and again, Masson again, Orioles, Ravens, not so much Ravens, I guess. I think the NFL, I think, will pretty much stay the same. But the Orioles and all that other stuff, I don't be surprised. Hey, $9.95 a month if you want to watch all the Oriole games. Okay. And then if Jalen Rose wants to be on sports, it's going to be, hey, he's going to have to get a YouTube channel. It's going to be, things are changing as sports media. So definitely, I think that's the bigger issue I want to hit than the layoffs and all that. So definitely, thank you very much for that. Put my link. My goodness, You go unlike the video. My goodness, people really hate Malika. My goodness, but she still got a job there. ESPN. Let's move to baseball summer. Okay, so and let's talk about baseball. So we've been talking about the Orioles minor league teams: AAA, Norfolk Tides, AA Blue Bay Sox, the A team. A ball, high A. Ironbirds, Delmarva Shorebirds, the low A team. Talked a little bit last week about the Little League. The College World Series. We'll get to the Little League World Series. And this week, we're going to talk about a team that used to be in the Baltimore Orioles organization, the Frederick Keys. The Frederick Keys are in the Draft League, a 16 baseball league with a split season format. First half of the MLB draft season features draft eligible players aiming to improve their annual MLB draft in July. Okay, so just to explain that again. So the way it was with the Keys is luckily they were, when MLB contracted on the minor league teams, they went ahead, no longer had an affiliation with the Baltimore Orioles. Where, okay, you were in Frederick, and then you go up to Bowie, and then you go up to Norfolk or whatever. They're now in a draft league. So what that is college players with college eligibility playing in the summer when their season is over. They're playing in the league, and they're getting a chance to showcase their abilities with wood bat, unlike college, it has the aluminum bat, especially. They get a chance to play in a minor league stadium, in a minor league in front of fans, et cetera, like that, get a chance to showcase themselves and get a better draft status, Or a lot of them also, too, as well, they go into the draft that's coming up soon, or they go back to school. Or maybe they get a chance to go to a bigger school or a school with more size, whatever, something like that, a more prominent college. That is essentially what the league is designed to do. So we're going to look at some of the players for the Keys that are there. Now, keep in mind with these guys are not in the Orioles minor league system. However, they are getting a chance to showcase their ability. Okay, so let's take a Modro here, Kende Modro. He's a guy that's playing at Northwest Florida State College. 19 years old, 3 home runs, 15 RBIs, so a 338 average. So that gives a lot of teams around the league to go ahead and get an opportunity to go ahead and look at him. Travell Johnson, Compton College, 21 years old. 1 home run, 11 RBIs, 356 average. They played about 20-ish games, about 25, 30 games. AJ Shaver, 3 home runs, 7 RBIs. He has a 286 average. He is a sophomore at Florida Southwestern State College. A lot of Florida players here. Arvin Escobar, back catcher at Bethune-Cookman. Bethune-Cookman, famous for that when we covered that story with Ed Reed. That was the school with all the issues, historically black college. They actually stopped baseball, I think, the previous year in 2021. They didn't even play. A lot of those players came back from other schools. These two guys were 340 average. These guys he has. Nolan Santos is their best pitcher, 22 years old, sophomore. At an ERA of 2.25, 1 victory. Jaden Martin, he is from Florence Darlington Junior College. He's a sophomore. He's 6'7", big tall guy, 2.45 ERA. Drew Burr, he is 1-1, 360 ERA. So those are the guys that are showcasing themselves for a major league team. They recently had a guy from Taiwan signed with the Cardinals organization who have been playing with the Keys. So, and that's ultimately what you want too. So if a guy is eligible to play in the majors, you definitely want a guy like that actually able to play in the majors or get signed by another team. So that's a good thing. So definitely that kind of goes over that situation with the Keys. I definitely want to go over with that. Frederick Keys, or they maybe not even know that the Keys are still around. You can go out and get tickets to the Keys. They definitely had that. So definitely you could check out those players if you want to go ahead and do that as well. So definitely glad I had a chance to go ahead and go over that. Next week, we are going to go over high school players draft eligible. So we went ahead and did College World Series, but we went ahead also we're going to go over high school eligible players that are eligible for the draft. So we'll do a top 10 list for that as well. Last year, we had draft eligible player last year. I'm sorry about that. Jackson Holiday, the number one prospect. That's what I was going to say. Is the number one prospect in all of baseball a high school player? So that's why it's worth going over before the draft. All right, let's talk O's a bit. So O's, and I'm recording this on a Tuesday evening. Orioles did not look good today. I'm recording this on Tuesday. They lost 2 in a row to the Yankees. Starting pitching starting to become an issue. Even now, I saw Tyler Wells pitch, Dean Kramer pitch, Kyle Gibson pitch. They still lost. Not good. I would love to see them. And again, I keep saying this. You need a starting pitcher at the major league deadline. I don't know if they're going to do anything. I still think we still have the same problem as far as the Orioles and the Angelos family and the resources that we have as far as getting a player. Attendance has been up this year, but it's about still towards the bottom of the league in terms of attendance. So I don't know how much money they're going to go ahead and spend as far as that goes. I definitely think you're going to need a starter. Also, to some of these guys that were kind of hot have kind of cooled off a bit. Aaron Hicks, O'Hearn, etc., a little cooler. That said, Orioles are still in great position. Okay, not too much doom and gloom here. Orioles, obviously, one of the better teams in the American League. We'll go over that here pretty soon. We'll go over the tiers list. Orioles are also, I think they have it in every other area you need it. I think the defense is fantastic. I think Mateo, as much as everybody seems to not like Mateo, defensively has been great. Gunner's got a great arm at third base. I love watching him play third base. I think he's a little green at times, but I think he's really good at third base. So Gunner is good defensively. I think they're good enough offense. I think they're good enough. The bullpen, I think the bottom two is fantastic. Guys, the best 2 guys in the bullpen is fantastic. And I think they're good enough in every area. Offensively, you don't have MVP probably, but you have a lot of really good players. So definitely keep that in mind going forward with the Orioles. Let's see how they do. As now we're going to the All-Star break. Now, a lot of these guys, some of these guys are going to get a little bit of a break. These guys aren't going to get a break. All-Stars, 4. Felix Bautista going to the All-Star game. Yadier Cano going to the All-Star game. A little bit of a surprise because he was a middle reliever. Austin Hayes. I was happiest for Austin Hayes because he was deserving of an All-Star nomination. Adley Rutschman going to the All-Star game as well. Adley also, too, has announced he is going to participate in the Home Run Derby. All right. Now, all we need is Chris Berman back to participate in the Home Run Derby. It'll be fun to watch Adley in the Home Run Derby as well. James McCann is returning back today. I saw him come off the injured list. He is still on his way back here. Ryan Mountcastle, I saw him hit a home run in Norfolk. He'll be back soon as well. Probably with him, you're waiting till after the All-Star break, which makes sense at this point. At this point, you might as well go ahead and wait till the All-Star break and go ahead and bring him back. So we'll see how the Orioles do the rest of the year, getting that all squared away, see how the Orioles are able to go ahead and get that taken care of. one more segment. We're going to go over the entire MLB here. Tiers, lists. All right, so we're going to go ahead and take care of that. MLB tiers, we'll go ahead and take a look at that. Who are the elite teams? Who are the bad teams? Who are teams? What else may happen? So who is the good and the bad in the MLB? All right, so I got there are 30 teams. I have this structured into a list of 6. 6 times 5 is 30. Who are the elite teams? Who are bad, etc. Elite. Rays. They've been the best team in the NL and MLB record all year long from minute one. They're definitely elite. Astros record isn't as good. They won the World Series last year. I think they've been good this year in a tough division. I like the Astros. They're elite as well. Dodgers, I think Kershaw again, got hurt, but I think they've been really good. Also, too, Mookie Betts has been sensational as usual for them. I think national announcing kind of gets on my nerves with Mookie Betts because he kind of gets the Derek Jeter treatment. But Betts has been really good. Outstanding. Orioles, absolutely. No question about it. Bullpen, outstanding. Defense, outstanding. Offense, really, really good. Offense also offense is not, I almost say that it almost sounds like a criticism when I'm saying there's not one guy, but there's not really one guy you can pitch around. Mullins is good. Rushman is good. Santander is good. Mountcastle, when he comes back, elite. Definitely top 6. Rangers, I think, are absolutely there. Everybody's so shocked. I'm not at all. Rangers, even without DeGrom, Nathan Eovaldi, I think, has been fantastic. Marcus Semien, a lot of offense. They spend a lot of money. I always love Bruce Bochy, their manager. Getting him. Braves, no question about it. I think they're the most well-run franchise in all of MLB. Matt Olson has been fantastic. Ronald Acuna has been even more fantastic. My favorite pitcher, not Orioles, Spencer Strider, is there with the goofy mustache. They're fantastic. I think they're definitely World Series level. They can win the whole thing. Braves are right there in the top 6. Good. So these teams are playoff contenders. Not elite, but very good. Diamondbacks, got to put them there. Corbin Carroll, preseason favorite for Rookie of the Year. Big-time prospect in the minors. He might be MVP candidate, Corbin Carroll. That's how good he's been. Diamondbacks have really been a surprise. But you said it. I did say at the beginning of the year, some teams have that prospects that could jump up. And that's exactly what's happened with the Diamondbacks. They're first place in the division. They're good. Yankees had to take them out of the elite category without Judge. I heard Judge was hitting off a tee already. Maybe that's a good sign. Without Judge, I can't put them in the elite category. Their offense is not good. Orioles should not be losing to a team with offense this not good. Donaldson and Harris, they're not elite. I would say their pitching is outstanding. They're getting very good start. 1 to 5, maybe the best starting 5 rotation in all of baseball. But they're not elite without Judge. I mean, they just don't have enough offense. Brewers are really good. Leading one of the best teams in their division, one of the best teams in their National League. They're about where they've always been. I think also, too, without the Cardinals there, I think that helps a lot. They have a lot of talent there to go ahead and see if they can go ahead and win in the National League. Marlins are a huge surprise. Had it not been for the Diamondbacks in the National League, the Marlins would definitely be the biggest surprise. They have a guy that's almost hitting about 400. They have an ace pitcher that they've had. I think the Marlins are right there. Very impressive in a tough division as well. Very good. Reds, I think right there, they really held their own with the Orioles. They have a good, exciting player. Diaz, I think, is one of the best closers in the National League. I think they're definitely good. They're definitely in the playoff hunt. Again, in that division, it's not that, the division is definitely winnable. So I definitely think they're good. Jays, I think, probably have the roughest road of all the good teams here. You got the Rays and the Orioles, then the elite category. You got the Yankees in this category. So I think they're going to have the roughest road. But the Jays are really good. I mean, they play anybody else, and they win a lot of games. I think Vlad Guerrero is still really good. Jordan Romero is still really good. Kevin Gausman, Orioles head, former Orioles #1 pick, has been good for them all year. Some of their pitching has faltered, not as good as they hoped, but I think otherwise they're really good still. I think they're going to make a move too. Decent category. Twins, possible playoff team. Twins, I think possibly get in rather in their division. Again, Central, not a lot there. Carlos Correa, Byron Buxton need better second halves. I think they can actually take this division if they start playing as well as they're capable. I don't know what the problem is for those guys. Sonny Gray's been pretty good for him. Good enough in a bad division. Kind of the same with the Guardians. I like Francona. I like Jose Ramirez is going into another All-Star game. They've stopped the Shane Bieber Tay talk because I think they're still in it. I think they are absolutely there in the division fight. Definitely can get in. Phillies, you drop them way down to here. They as much as they've tried, they still look different without Bryce Harper. When they've had some issues. They don't have Rush Hoskins hasn't played all year. JT Realmuto's kind of slipped a bit. He hasn't been as good. Been good, but not as good. So I got to drop him down here. Front end starting pitching, I think, is still pretty good, but they've been decent, and they're in a tough division there as well. Marlins have been a big surprise. Mariners, I think, can still get in. I think Julio Rodriguez is really one of the best young players in all of baseball. Still, George Kirby is there as a starter. I think the starters are good. I think they've kind of been just a tough division as well. I think the Rangers has kind of just blown everybody away, kind of there. Giants, I think, are kind of in the middle. I guess, higher than I had them, but Giants, I think they're about as expected. I think they almost caught a break not getting the Correa contract. I don't think they'd have improved them much better, especially the way Correa has played as well. I think they're about a year away, but it could happen. I wouldn't shock me. It depends. They can actually do something at the deadline, and it's better. And how can you have a guy this good, Shohei Ohtani, and you just hear? But you'll watch them play, and that's about what they are. They kind of Shohei or bust. Trout is there. They've kind of it's sad. I feel bad for Shohei, considering it'll be interesting to see what happens. I still believe they can get there. You have to believe it because they have the best player, one of the best players in all, if not one of the best players that ever played, Shohei Ohtani. Red Sox, the Red Sox quiet's kept not that bad. They're just in the wrong division. Devers, I really like. I'm shocked that he's not in the All-Star game. I don't think he is. I think his average is a little bit lower. I think that's a little bit of a surprise. Pirates started out great, but then now they've dropped down to earth. I think this is kind of what they should have been. They had a lot of good starts and pitching at the start. Now they've kind of dropped down. White Sox, I still believe in a lot of the young players. I think I like Lewis Robert. I like a lot of the young players. I like Andrew Vaughn. I think their pitching has just been lousy. That's why they can't win more games. The Lance Lynn, et cetera, has just been awful. Padres. Their offense hasn't been good considering the money they're spending. You got to say that they haven't spent. They spent all this money and it haven't been any good. Mets, ditto. The issue with the Mets is Scherzer and Verlander. They're showing their age now. I think Scherzer's kind of gotten better during the course of the year. Verlander, I don't know what they're going to get at all. They lost Edwin Diaz at the beginning for the World Baseball Classic. Offensively, I don't think they're as good as maybe we thought they were, because kind of the guys like Nimmo and Alonso kind of at the low average. We'll see. Cubs, I think they're a year away. Some people like the Cubs more than I like them. I don't dislike them. I think Darby Swanson's really good. I think they're about a year or two away. Young Justin Steele has been good. I think the pitching's been a little better than I thought. But I still think they're a year away from being really any good. Real quick, these teams, A's are lousy, Nats are lousy, Tigers, you feel bad for Cabrera if he is retiring, be on a lousy Tigers team. I think they have the best record here, but I don't think they're any good. The Royals, I think, are really lousy. Rockies, I liked some of their young guys, Ron Man coming along. And Cardinals, you got to put in the bad category. Outside of Goldschmidt and Arenado, they've been a train wreck, period. Even you look at even their great Adam Wainwright, who came back, is like not playing well, not pitching well. I don't know if they're going to get any better. They've had 15 straight winning seasons. I don't know. I don't know if it's going to happen again for them this year. So there you go. So we went ahead and go over that. Orioles, absolutely in the elite category. No question about it. Orioles are an elite team, and they're definitely a team that can go ahead and win the World Series. No question about it. I do think you need another starting pitcher. We'll see if they get one. Maybe it's Grayson. Maybe it's Deal Hall. Maybe it's something like that. Maybe it's but you can't keep sending Cole Irvin out there the way it's been. So thank you very much for watching, taking the time. We appreciate that. Go ahead and like and subscribe to all of our social media platforms. We appreciate you. Thank you. Enjoy all the games. You have a good week. You have a great rest of your day. Enjoy the games.